Race 1B for the Mazda MX-5 Championship about to get underway here at a sunny Snetterton 300 circuit in Norfolk. Richard Wootton has got the pole position for our first B race, and remember the top 5 finishers from this race get promoted onto the A grid later on this weekend. Here is the grid in full then. Wootton with Owen Mills alongside him. Nick Ledoyen and Ivan Leary share row 2 ahead of Oliver Jenkins and Graham Rumsey, who was handed a 5-place grid penalty from the previous event at Anglesey. Bruce Robinson and Jake Stiles are next ahead of Tom Mallet and Aaron Dinapola. Stuart Ross French and Tim Dorr are on the 6th row ahead of Christian Dan and Pete Tyler. Barry Liversidge and Jack Lemmer next ahead of Christian Ginn and Alan Hawkins, with Adam Tyler and Richard Bartlett to round out the top 20. It is a 27-car entry in the B group here today, and those top 5 positions always fiercely fought for. And with the slipstreaming Snetterton 300 circuit to play on, we should be in for some cracking racing action across the 3 B races here this weekend. The black and yellow car of Richard Wootton on pole position, the orange and white of Owen Mills alongside him. Who gets the jump? Who gets into Rich's corner first? It will, well, I was going to say almost certainly be Richard Wootton, but that was mainly because there was a fairly disappointing start for Owen Mills from the outside of row 1, but then there's contact and Wootton ends up suddenly slowing and gets elbowed out of the way by Nick Ledoyen. So it will, after all, be Mills that leads into turn 1. Graham Rumsey, I think, might have gone into 2nd position. So everyone now gets safely through the first corner, having reached it in more or less one piece, but yeah, I think they do. But there was quite a lot of argy-bargy there before we even reached turn number 1. On board with Bruce Robinson now, defending the inside, lots of locking up going on further back. Christian Dan there, the blue 27 car goes up the inside. To the outside, running wide is Tom Mallet onto the grass, almost onto the Snetterton 200 layout there, so wide was he coming out of the Wilson hairpin. Jake Stiles, that is, in the turquoise number 2 car, who we're trying to go around the outside of, and succeeding in doing so, I think. So it's Owen Mills that leads the way. Graham Rumsey is 2nd. Nick Ledoyen appears to be 3rd, with Richard Wootton, the pole sitter, down to 4th. Possibly has Ivan Leary up the inside, actually. Yes, he does. Leary trying to go through a D'Agostini. Can't quite do it, though. That was a very, very frenetic start. The run to the first corner is crucial, but I don't quite know what happened to Richard Wootton, because he got a good start and then suddenly seemed to slow and get elbowed out of the way by the cars behind him. And that has cost him dear, but as long as he stays in that top 5, the promotion spot will still beckon. On the brakes into Woggies now. Lots of battling going on further back as drivers try to get into that top 5, or towards that top 5 at least. The first lap of the race, seeing lots and lots of action already. Alan Hawkins there, the multicoloured 722 car going on the attack as they turn through Williams. There, the 291 car is also making progress. That is Luke Such, who is trying to get a toe down the back straight, but that is only part of the battle. You then got to execute the manoeuvre under braking as well. And that's easier said than done, but not if your name is Bruce Robinson, because that was a brilliant out-braking move up the inside. Onto the grass, I think, has gone Christian Dan there further back, so place gained for Robinson. Several places lost for Dan, though, unfortunately, as the 10 car of Tom Mallet also goes on the inside. Into Coram Corner. Leary there, the yellow-fronted car. Under quite a lot of pressure from the car behind as well. Jake Stiles also starting to find a bit more pace as the season goes on now. There, the 173 car is Stuart Ross French, who I believe is making his first appearance in the championship with a novice cross on the back of his car. As we go on to the final lap of the race now, that might well be what makes the difference between who gets through and who doesn't. Looks like Richard Wootton's doing well, though, for a race victory, and therefore a guaranteed transfer spot onto the back of the A grid for race 2 tomorrow morning. He turns through the Wilson hairpin with Owen Mills not that far behind, but he has, I think, very much settled for 2nd now. No, he's not really under too much pressure from those behind. Richard Wootton then out of Palmer's, back down the hill. You can see the gap, the cushion that these two have built up over the rest behind. And there, in the background, is Oliver Jenkins 3rd, Tim Dorr 4th, and Bruce Robinson 5th. And someone's on the grass. I think that's Jake Stiles on the grass further back, and may not rejoin the track until they reach Agostini, but there just wasn't a gap in the traffic. That's another place gained by Rumsey, and he's got past Stuart Ross French as well. So where does that put Rumsey now? 5th, 6th, 7th by my reckoning. I think he's just going to run out of time, but if he can get 6th and then there's a penalty for Robinson, that would mean that he might inherit 5th position. So you won't necessarily know about the situation with Bruce Robinson. It may even be that there is no penalty coming for Bruce, but if there were to be one, then Rumsey would much rather be 6th and therefore inheriting 5th than 7th and inheriting 6th, because that one position makes all the difference as far as what happens in the rest of your weekend. So Wootton then under the bridge, leading the way, and clips the grass, clips the curb. Doesn't really want to be taking risks like that on this final lap, but I'm sure he's just stroking it home to the flag. And Richard Wootton, a regular front runner in these B races this year, has really put on a good show. He didn't start off all that strongly in this race, but having started from pole position, he found himself getting mugged on the run into the first corner, gradually picked his way back through, and when Graham Rumsey spun from 2nd place, Richard was right there to inherit the position and then immediately applied the pressure to the leader and found a way through. And Richard Wootton, therefore, comes out of the final corner and is about to see the checkered flag to win race 1B here for the Mazda MX-5 Championship at Snetterton. Richard Wootton does it, a nice, comfortable victory from pole position, but there was a lot more that went on in between. 2nd place goes the way of Owen Mills. 3rd is going to go the way of Oliver Jenkins, just, I think, from Tim Dorr 4th, and Bruce Robinson a provisional 5th position. Confirmation of the result then, and as we suspected, there is a penalty in the end for Bruce Robinson. So Graham Rumsey, who got 6th on the last lap, then inherits 5th and a transfer spot. Remarkable stuff. Ivan Leary is 6th, Stuart Ross French, Alan Hawkins, Jack Lemmer and Nick Ledoyen recovered to 10th, but will be frustrated with that result. Jake Stiles was disqualified post-race. Pete Tyler and Aaron DiNapolo were non-finishers, so James Love and Jonathan Fieldsend will join them at the back of the field, having been the last 2 finishers in the race.
Richard, huge congratulations, not just for coming pole in race 1B today here at Snetterton, but also this is your first podium win.
It is, yeah, absolutely delighted. Thank you to Brian, he's put in a lot of hard work both this year and last year, putting a great car together for me. It's finally got there, missed out a few times, but delighted to finally get on that top step.
Quickly talk me through that race, because those temperatures were in over 30 degrees.
Yeah, it was mad. It was just melting in the assembly area before going out. So yeah, got a terrible start. I think I was down to 5th by the hairpin. But luckily I was able to battle back a little bit. There's a few moments where the tyres were going off and I was kind of sliding all over the place, but held it together, luckily, and yeah, kept it and got past the line on 1st.
So very quickly, tomorrow you'll be going up into the A, so you'll be in a race with Adam. You guys got a game plan you can have there?
Oh, I mean, Adam's a few rows ahead of me, but keep an eye on that yellow car of his and try and catch him if I can.
Race 2B is about to get underway here, and as you can see, the drivers are just heading out onto the grid. Now we have Fraser Fenwick starting on pole position and Aaron Sparrow starting on 2nd. Now these are 2 drivers, James, that haven't started on pole position before, but we have got Clive Powell, Ivan Leary, Charlie Rawls starting right behind them, and they're firm favourites, you know, in the Bs. They know what they're doing. So my question to you is, how would you feel in that situation?
Well, they're probably going to have their eyes in the mirrors at the start there, especially in the first few corners. Experience counts in this game, so yeah, it's going to be an interesting start between them.
Right, well, I think we're going to have quite a lot of action to look forward to here, so let's jump straight into it and hand it over to Andy McEwan.
Thanks, Lyndsay. Well, it's Fraser Fenwick on pole for this one then, with Adam Sparrow alongside. Clive Chisnall is the lead Masters driver on the grid, with Charlie Rawls alongside on row 2. Then it's Ivan Leary, who missed out on the promotion spots in the previous race. Stuart Ross French alongside him, ahead of Alan Hawkins and Jack Lemmer, with Nick Ledoyen and Bruce Robinson rounding out the top 10. Then it's Tom Mallett and Christian Dan, Richard Bartlett and Christopher Ginn, with Luke Such and Barry Liversidge next up on the 8th row. Row 9 for Pete Lancaster and Adam Tyler. Row 10 for Ian Whitewick and Michael Pearce. Then it's Charles Medwin and Jonathan Fieldsend, James Love and Aaron DiNapolo, who was the first of the non-finishers in race 1. Pete Tyler was also a non-finisher, whilst Jake Stiles was disqualified, so starts from the back, but should move forward. Well, we're in for another lively race, I am sure. We're ready to go racing here then for the second time this weekend in Group B, and it's not a good start made by the front row men, and that means the second row men both go for the same gap and clatter into each other. Let's hope they all survive that without too much contact and damage. On the run towards the first corner, though, it is going to be 3 abreast for the race lead. Is it going to be Charlie Rawls that gets it? Yes, it is. Charlie Rawls into the lead of the race then, as they turn through Rich's corner. Not a good start for Ivan Leary. Look, he's behind Bruce Robinson now, and in fact behind quite a few drivers. Remember, he started 5th, did Ivan Leary. Black and red car on the inside line there, about 4 or 5 cars back on the inside line. Has lost quite a bit of ground into the Wilson hairpin, though. He could be about to gain some of that back. Everyone through here cleanly, 1 or 2 running a bit wide, but it's quite a calm start. Jake Stiles not so much towards the back of the field. No doubt about it, though. Charlie Rawls leads the way in the grey and fluorescent yellow machine. There's Clive Chisnall applying the pressure to the 28 car of Jack Lemmer, who's had a good start from 8th on the grid. Dropping down the hill then towards Agostini. And looks like it is Fraser Fenwick in 2nd position there. And Chisnall up the inside. That was a nice move, and he just made it stick, but he did get the car stopped through the tight left-hander at Agostini. 3-1-2 further back is Peter Lancaster going up the inside of the 180, which is Pete Tyler from the back row of the grid. Pete Tyler's had a good start, the white and purple number 180 car, excuse me, from the very back of the grid after a non-finish in yesterday's first B race. So through Oggies now, back up to right-hander at Williams, and Clive Chisnall, one of the big losers then from that start line skirmish. He got a good start but had nowhere to go, and Charlie Rawls from the outside of row 1 was able to go through, row 2, sorry, was able to go through into the race lead. Chisnall from the inside of row 2 had to slam on the brakes to avoid a more significant collision. Actually ended up losing further ground. Rating is Adam Tyler there on the outside, who is the son, I believe, of Pete Tyler. Top 2, nose to tail, and Fraser Fenwick in fact going up the inside there and retaking the race lead. That was a nice move. Charlie Rawls, I don't think, saw that coming, and he will now try and fight back on the exit of the corner into the bomb hole and goes back through. So 2 lead changes in 2 corners. That's Mazda MX-5 racing for you. Number 19 Adam Sparrow, the purple car, trying to join in the fun as well. Looking to the inside, Stuart Ross French, I think, is the man in 4th as they come through to the final corner of this opening lap, clobbering the curbs for all of them, and then back along the pit straight once again. Certainly occupying the attention of the race leader, carries a lot more speed into Nelson, look, and gets it through the corner neatly as well. So that's definitely a part of the circuit that Fenwick has a bit of an edge at. Nelson a bit more confident, maybe braking on a turn, and then with the change of direction as well that we spoke about earlier on, which means he may be beneficial through here as well. Indeed, carries more corner speed into Murray's, and now he's most definitely close enough as we come out onto the start-finish line. I think they're about to see the last lap board this time as well, and Charlie Rawls under all sorts of pressure now from Fraser Fenwick. There is a black and white flag being held aloft, but we are indeed going on to the final lap of the race now, so last lap begins, and nose to tail between the leading 2. Fraser Fenwick really starting to apply the pressure and ask all of the right questions of Charlie Rawls now. Rich's corner they go, and a good exit from Rich's there for the 2nd place man. He's certainly close enough to have a go into the hairpin, and the race leader Charlie Rawls knows it, moves over to the right hand side to defend. Too slow on the exit, he should hang on, but he's a bit sideways, almost got a bit of tap in the tail there from Fenwick. I think he just avoided contact, but Fraser definitely quicker off the corner. And this is the part of the circuit where maybe Rawls has had an edge, or at least the previous lap that we were following that we did. Just stay with him though, get that toe down the back straight, might be able to get alongside into Brundle and Nelson, or maybe even have a go before that. Had a real look at the inside, and Rawls had to move over to cover. That means he outbrakes himself slightly, and Fenwick almost pries the door open. This is tantalising stuff. Fraser Fenwick throwing everything at this now, really forcing the issue without really forcing the issue, if you see what I mean. He's definitely making the race leader defend, but he's not taking any undue risks at the moment. But he is getting close enough that Charlie Rawls is having to drive more defensive lines. That's slowing him down, stopping his possibility of pulling away. Fenwick, I would say, is closer at this part of the circuit than he was a lap ago. We're heading into the part of the circuit where he is strongest now, through the final sector. No doubt about it, on the previous lap he was able to carry a lot more speed through this next couple of corners, but I'm not convinced he's close enough to really challenge through Brundle and Nelson this time. Clive Chisnall, you can see 3rd. In the background, Adam Sparrow was having to defend his 4th place from Stuart Ross French again, who has caught him, but all eyes on the leading 2 as they bounce their way through Nelson. Another nice run there for Fenwick, slightly scrappy for Charlie Rawls. Gets 2 wheels in the dirt. The next couple of corners aren't really overtaking opportunities. It's all going to be about the run out of the final turn and to the start-finish line. And Fenwick could not be any closer, pulls almost alongside, forces Rawls to defend, and Fenwick has a better exit, but nowhere to go with it. He wanted to commit to that, but I think he wanted to avoid any contact as well, and so Charlie Rawls will just about do enough, I reckon, to hang on to the victory, but it's been a brilliant battle between the 2 of them. Charlie Rawls takes the victory in race 2B, Fraser Fenwick is 2nd, 3rd will go to Clive Chisnall, and I think Stuart Ross French is back ahead of Adam Sparrow for 4th. Yes, he is. So confirmation of the result then, it's Rawls, Fenwick, Chisnall, French and Sparrow who will progress in that order. Jack Lemmer is 6th, Alan Hawkins 7th, then Ivan Leary, Christian Dan and Bruce Robinson round out the top 10. Tom Mallet and Aaron Danapola are next, Danapola coming from the back of the grid. Christopher Ginn is 13th, ahead of Luke Such and Pete Tyler, whilst Pete Lancaster was the only non-finisher from that race in what was a very clean but entertaining second race of the weekend.
What a blinding race for you. Please talk me through it.
Well, it all kicked off on the start line, you probably all see from the footage, but yeah, I thought I was going round when me and Clive went for the same gap off the start, and like I said, I think I could see every other car out my right-hand window for a moment, so I just kept my throttle on, hopefully sort of made it out the pack, and yeah, it was sort of, I wouldn't say plain sailing, because we were caught up at the end there and a bit of pressure was put on, but yeah, we made it to the end, and yeah, onwards to the A race. So.
Third and final race is about to get underway here for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 B race. Now we have Tim Dawn second, Bryn Griffiths in first, and the two people behind them, they've both been on podium this weekend, so it's going to be an interesting one to watch. So Andy, I'm going to hand it over to you to run us through all of the action.
Thanks, Lindsay. This should be a good one. No more transfer spots to worry about, just a winner's trophy to fight for. Who will get the final one of the weekend? Well, it's Bryn Griffiths and Tim Daw who share the front row for this, with Ollie Jenkins and Owen Mills next, then Graham Rumsey back in the B group for the final race. Jack Lemmer just missed out on progressing. He's 6th, ahead of Alan Hawkins and Ivan Leary, then Christian Dan and Bruce Robinson to round out the top 10. Tom Mallet and Aaron Danapola are next, ahead of Christopher Ginn and Luke Such. Pete Tyler, Barry Liversidge, Richard Bartlett and Jake Stiles on row 9, then row 10 for Ian Whitewick and Adam Tyler. Jonathan Fieldsend and Michael Pearce are just outside the top 20, ahead of Charles Medwin, James Love and the retirement from race 2B, Pete Lancaster. Well, we've had two brilliant races from the B group and lots of entertaining action along the way. What does race 3 have in store for us? Bryn Griffiths and Tim Daw on the front row of the grid. Keep an eye on Owen Mills. He was a fast starter in the first B race. Not so much this time though. Fairly equal actually amongst the top 3 or 4. We'll get the lead into Rich's corner then. Well, we're on board with Bruce Robinson, who's had a good start. Moves ahead of Ivan Leary. Christian Dan is on the inside there, the blue number 27 car. But it will be Bryn Griffiths, I think, that leads into the first corner, with Oliver Jenkins going second. I reckon it'll be inside of Tim Daw. Contact between Dan and the number 10 machine going through the first turn there. That was all a bit clumsy. Tom Mallet there getting into the side of Christian Dan. Both of them, I think, survived that more or less unscathed. Griffiths leads the way, side by side for second place, but Tim Daw, I think, was about to lose that battle for second with Oliver Jenkins. So not a great start for Daw on this occasion. There's Nick Ledoyen towards the back of the field by the looks of it. Round the left-hander at Palmer's, back down the hill with Bryn Griffiths trying to pull away. Now, is he going to be able to break the toe here? If he can do so early, he might be tough to beat. We've seen him do this before, remember. Battle on for second though, and running wide there was Oliver Jenkins, and Tim Daw saw the chance, I think, to get on the inside through Agostini. Was he able to make that stick? We'll find out in a moment when we pan around. There goes the 69 car of Barry Liversidge. Tim Daw is indeed second now, I saw off in the distance, so he did take advantage of the moment there for Oliver Jenkins. And then further back, it's a bit of a free-for-all really, as they turn through Oggies, 3 abreast further back. That's rare that you can go into Oggies 3 abreast and come out the other side in one piece. They have come out the other side in one piece, but in nothing like the same order. And I think there was a bit of paint being traded there between a few cars, but they somehow made it work. This is the fight not to be last, just to give you an idea of how intense the battles are, literally up and down the order. And it doesn't matter whether you're fighting for first or last, you are guaranteed a race in the MX-5 Championship. Quite such great value for money for all of the competitors and the spectators who have turned up, several of them as well, trackside here at Snetterton, to enjoy the racing action on this Mazda weekend. There is the 291 car, that's Luke Such going through, with number 20 behind him. That's Christopher Ginn, who we haven't seen much of this weekend. At the head of the field though, Tim Daw very much going after Bryn Griffiths here, so Bryn has not yet been able to break the toe. They are starting to drop Ollie Jenkins in the third. Alan Hawkins having a good showing in this one as well, just ahead of Graham Rumsey, who again has not had a brilliant start, having started 5th. He's now, well, he's 6th, I suppose, so he hasn't gone back too far, but he hasn't gone forwards either. He'll be outside line. Bryn Griffiths, though, not particularly concerned with what's going on behind him. enjoying a nice Sunday afternoon drive now to a victory here. Second of the year in the B grid. A regular front runner in these B races, but he'd love to become a more regular feature on the A grid. The driver actually quite enjoy finding themselves down on the front of the B grid because they know they've got a race win and a podium finish to fight for. And as we made the point in race 2, that sounds an awful lot more impressive than saying finishing 5th transfer to the A group and then finish 27th. This is a race win. Maybe the B group, but it's still a win. There's still a trophy. There's still a bottle of champagne with your name on it. Griffiths looks as though he might be about to take that, and I thought I heard a screech of tyres. That was Owen Mills, I think, throwing the kitchen sink at Oliver Jenkins. And unfortunately, it didn't quite pay off, and he ends up running a bit wide. And that was a good save again from Owen. We've seen a couple of those from him today. But unfortunately, he's probably now rather scuppered his chances of taking that 3rd place because he's dropped too far back now, I think, to get a decent slipstream down the Bentley Straight, which is where the race leaders are now. Bryn Griffiths going up through the gears for the final time down the Bentley Straight. Now less than half a lap away from the victory in race 3B here for the MX-5 Championship. Tim Dorr has pushed him all the way and will get his first podium of the weekend. It's not quite going to be the win that he's so far being eluded by. Pushing hard there right to the flag. Look, Tim in the yellow and green car. Indeed, further back, Oliver Jenkins has now definitely got away from Owen Mills. So the top 4 are set, and it looks as though Alan Hawkins has got a bit of a margin now of nearly a second over Jack Lemmer for 5th as well. So the top 5 or 6 spots pretty settled now as we go into the final couple of corners. It's been a brilliant drive, this from Bryn Griffiths. Had to race hard with Tim Dorr in the early stages. Tim got past him at one point, but Bryn wasted no time at all in retaliating, retook the race lead, and will come now across the start-finish line to see the checkered flag and win race 3B for the Mazda MX-5 Championship at Snetterton. A great drive that was from Bryn. Tim Dorr is second, 3rd goes the way of Oliver Jenkins, and a somewhat lowly 4th in the end for Owen Mills, having tried absolutely everything to find a way past, but to no avail. 5th position goes the way of Alan Hawkins, 6th Jack Lemmer, 7th Ivan Leary, 8th Bruce Robinson with Christian Dan and Nick Ledoyen rounding out the top 10. Luke Such had a good drive, by the way, 11th place for him, one of his best finishes of the year, ahead of Tom Mallet, Jake Stiles, Aaron DeNapola and Pete Tyler to round out the top 15. If you're wondering where Graham Rumsey is, by the way, well, he was disqualified. He was given a track limits penalty and then disqualified for another matter as well, so a day to forget for Graham.
Tim, that was one hell of a race. Please talk me through it.
Well, I was just aiming for a good start. It wasn't too bad. The Bryn got me. Fortunately, he missed a gear, let me get past, but he was just too quick in the end. He needed a bit more sweat in his eyes, I think.